You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
You're listening to Reverend Jeremy
and Georgia
on iCannabisRadio.com.
Hi there. You're not listening to Reverend Jeremy because he is not here, so you just get to listen to me. I'm Georgia. Today is Monday, March 24th, 2014, and it snowed a little bit today, and it rained a little bit today, and it was a little bit windy today, and the sun came out, and it was hot, and it was cold, and it was pretty typical Colorado, if you ask me. And then tomorrow is going to be in the 60s, and yeah, I mean, welcome to Colorado. If you don't like the weather, wait a minute. We have a lot of stuff to talk about today, as we do every Monday night. But, you know, I want to talk primarily today about this new debate. So for years and years and years, the debate was, should we legalize medical marijuana or should we not? Boom, that was the debate. We weren't even talking about just plain old ordinary everyday full-on legalization. But now the debate's taken kind of a strange little twist. And it's this whole CBD, THC, one versus the other. You can't possibly have both, or it's easier to convince people that CBD is harmless while THC, we don't know. So we're definitely going to talk about that. And we have a couple of videos. Chris, surprise, we have videos I want to play today that I didn't tell you about earlier, but that's okay. You can roll with it, huh? But, you know, it's pretty easy to see how these super compelling stories of these sick kids who are clearly getting the benefits of medical marijuana, and in particular strains that are high in CBD, can pull on the heartstrings of our politicians. But do we need to be singing the partial plant song? Is there a reason why we can't talk about whole plant medicine and educate our lawmakers on the entire plant? I don't know. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. I also want to talk about some craziness. So Flight 370 went down or did something, disappeared, going on 2.5 weeks now. Yeah. And holy cow, a plane with more than 230 people on it can disappear. And in the technology of today, we can't find it. And there are thousands of thoughts and ideas about what happened to this plane. And people are saying, you know, it's Bermuda Triangle all over again. It's terrorists. It's the pilot and co-pilot committed suicide. You know, all of these things. And for me, kind of the fact of the matter is that there are families of these 230 some odd passengers and crew who don't know where their family members are. And no matter what happened to that plane, it is heartbreaking and must be incomprehensible to be waiting to find out what happened with that plane. It just doesn't it seem like in the technology that we have that would be virtually impossible. That I can understand that we would lose contact with the airplane, but for it to be gone seems incomprehensible to me. Seems absolutely. I mean, our planet has been made so small by technology, by social media, and you know, all of the technology that we have. I mean, you really are hard pressed to find a place where you are truly disconnected. I mean, we go camping in the mountains, and even when we try to be out of cell phone range, really, you just climb up a hill and you're in cell phone range. I mean, I think my in-laws live in one of the few places in the entire country where they have no cell phone service at all, and you have to really make an effort to get into cell phone range. So having said all that, it's just I really, really, really feel for these families. And it's just, all these tinfoil hat folks have kind of decided. I like the alien theories best myself. That particular plane was sucked up by some spaceship. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know what makes these people particularly interesting to aliens. But aren't you a little jealous? Like, why not the plane that you picked to be sucked up into a spaceship and taken to planet whatever? I mean, you're interesting, Chris.
Planet Ganja would be awesome.
You live in Planet Ganja. You do. But yeah, so that's kind of some crazy news right now. The other thing that has, as you can imagine, been weighing heavily on my mind is we are just 3 weeks away from the first anniversary of the Boston Marathon bombing. And you guys know that I am outrageously anti-death penalty. And despite the fact that I think that was one of the most heinous crimes I could possibly imagine, I am just not prepared to support the death penalty in this case any more than I am in any case. I just don't see that as being a deterrent. B, it's not going to get people's lives back or legs back or arms back or mental health back. And man, I would much rather see this dude suffer, and he will suffer in prison. I tell you that he will suffer in prison when he is convicted. I saw a picture and I wanted to get it for tonight's show and couldn't find it again of Jenny Richard. She is a now 8-year-old little girl who's then 8-year-old. She was 7 at the time of the bombings. Her 8-year-old brother, Martin Richard, was killed in the blast, and Jenny lost her leg, and she was just fitted for a prosthetic. And man, it is high tech. It is state of the art. I mean, if you have to lose your leg and get a prosthetic, I am so thrilled that this little girl has this kick-ass. It's like the runner's one. It has the spring leg. It's freaking awesome, and she is by far the most precious little girl. Just amazing, and big smile on her face. And I'm so happy that family is doing well despite all the tragedy. Rarely do I pimp groups and fundraisers and those kinds of things, but you all know how much that event affected me. And so if you go to bostonstrongbracelets.org, they have a lot of new items that all go to the Boston Strong organization that is raising money to help all of the victims. You're about to lose a piece of orange onto your nether region and then on the floor. I wasn't looking at that area of you. I just happened to see an orange thing glowing from your crotch, which I thought was unusual.
I didn't know I had one more left.
Yeah, it was nice, right? Dessert from your dessert. But I just bought a really cool bracelet. I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm pretty excited. It's it's an ID band. It says Boston Strong on it. Be sure to represent, folks. Like I said, the 15th of April is the 1-year anniversary. And the Boston Marathon is going to be on the 21st of April this year, Patriots Day in Massachusetts, always the day that the Boston Marathon is run. And so those of you in Colorado, for example, may think that you should sleep in on Monday, the 21st, because the previous day will have been 420. Couple of things. One, don't miss the end of the Boston Marathon. I mean, you don't have to sit and watch the whole thing, but don't miss the end. You can spare a few minutes of your life. It's amazing to watch Kenyans kick our asses year after year after year. And without even so much as breaking a sweat. I mean, they drink some goo or something along the way and feel fantastic. I know, they're so amazing. In my mind of minds, I'm Kenyan. But only right here, like nowhere else. But 420 falls on the holiest of holy Christian holidays, Easter this year. And so those of you who do something for Easter, add a little 420 to your Easter celebration. It's for those of you who are Christian or religious there are a lot of references in the Bible that many, 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 many people believe are referencing the cannabis plant. And so it would not be unholy, or you would not be taking, away from that holy holiday by partaking, if you ask me. Now, my plans for 420, I like chocolate. So that's my plan for 420 is I'm hoping for an enormous chocolate Easter bunny. Exactly. Yeah. I like my chocolate with something in it though. And by the way, like nothing hollow, like there's nothing grosser than like that kind of flaky hollow. I hate that. But my Easter bunny knows me pretty well. And so he tends to do an excellent, excellent job. But yeah, I think it's going to be a little weird. I think it's going to be weird for the stores here in Colorado. There are, believe it or not, there are places that still are not open on Sunday. So they may decide to be open on 420 this year. It would be really good business for them. I just wonder if Easter Sunday is going to have some kind of impact. Are there going to be family folks who are not going to go to their 420 celebration? I don't know. What do you think? Well, I know, right? I mean, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. So yeah, we'll have to do some projections, do a little poll as to who's going to wuss out to stay home with family. I mean, typically on Sunday, if you're going to go to church on Easter Sunday, I mean, you do that pretty much first thing. So that leaves the whole day, including the most important part of the day, 4:20 to, so you can do both. You can definitely do both. I think you can do both. I think you should do both. Anyway, yeah, it should be interesting this year. It should be I feel like the month of April last year was the craziest month ever. I felt like so much was going on, the Cannabis Cup, and it was an exhausting, fun, crazy month. Although the Cannabis Cup was a little too much for me. There's a lot of people, and people were just, I don't know. Everyone was nice and everyone was friendly, but it's sort of hard to watch people who have never taken dabs before, do one of these numbers. It was just kind of crazy, but it should be quite an event. It should be quite an event. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to start this whole THC CBD debate. And I don't want to debate it. I want it to be. Well, I'll tell you what my opinion is when we come back. But first and foremost, I got to do my dad's ad. You guys, my Cuffle Collimore and Company. You guys are not visiting this website. He's not getting a huge spike after every one of these shows, and I don't understand why. Is it because we can't spell the name? Because I'm gonna spell it for you, and it's family names. Cuffle, Kuffel, Collimore, COLLIMORE.com. Visit them at CuffleCollimore.com or email my dad at rtc@CuffleCollimore.com. You got to get your insurance needs figured out. You can't be in business if you don't understand all that you need to understand regarding your insurance. Slip and fall, liability, make sure your property is protected, all that kind of stuff. And if you think you know it all, you probably still don't know it all. So you still need to give them a call. 877-335-1234. That's 877-335-1234. Ask for Bob. Make sure you tell them that you heard about them on iCannabis Radio. That's Cuffle, Collimore and Company Insurance Services. You're listening to iCannabis Radio. My name is Georgia. We'll be back in a minute.
The law offices of Edson, Mayton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Whether you are a commercial grower or cultivate as a hobby, No Dough Urban Garden Supply is Denver's first stop for your hydroponic grow needs. With a wide range of products including House and Garden, Botanicare, and Fox Farm, their knowledgeable staff can get you started on your first garden or help you with your well-established business. No Dough Urban Garden Supply is located in downtown Denver at 1330 27th Street, 4 blocks north of Coors Field near MMD of Colorado. They are open 6 days a week from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 303-296-3424 or visit them on the web at www.nodoughurbangardensupply.com.
Well, hello. So, you know how I always love to report marijuana news from my home state of Florida. Well, things are moving in Florida, shockingly, surprisingly, encouragingly. Today, the Miami Herald posted that the Senate moves to plan to distribute limited strain of marijuana, while the Florida House of Representatives moves to decriminalize a non-euphoric strain of marijuana. The Senate advanced an alternative approach on Monday: create up to 4 highly regulated dispensaries to distribute the strain for medical purposes. Sorry, got to do my dog duty here too. It's an approach that states have legalized medical marijuana are increasingly turning to after gaps in those laws led to legal confusion and needless prosecution. Florida legislative leaders say they are not prepared to legalize marijuana for a broader range of maladies than the non-euphoric strain intended to benefit children with intractable epilepsy. Shocking that they're thinking of legalizing medical marijuana. Of course, they make the distinction, as we'll see in a second, only for kids, whereas every place else in the world is like, whoa, 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 keep marijuana away from the children, not Florida. If the Senate proposal passes, the framework could serve as the vehicle for the legislature and regulators to control the development of the medical marijuana industry if voters approve, as expected, the constitutional amendment in November. This isn't being approached as setting up a regulatory framework if the constitutional amendment were to pass, said Senator Rob Brandley, a Republican from Fleming Island, one of the Senate sponsors of the bill. But it would be naive to say what we're doing does not set a precedent. A February poll of voters in Republican Senate districts by the Republican Party of Florida found that 78% favor legalizing the medical use of marijuana for individuals with debilitating disease, while only 18% oppose it. The Senate Criminal Justice Committee voted 5-1 in favor of Senate Bill 1030, which will allow patients to use low THC marijuana containing no more than 0.5% of THC and at least 15% of CBD. The bill would require doctors and patients to register with the state on a secure database that could be checked by police when they stop someone in possession of marijuana, and the Department of Health would have the authority to authorize 4 dispensaries to cultivate, possess, and dispense low THC marijuana. In recent months, Michigan and Hawaii, which have previously legalized medical marijuana, have filed legislation to set up a distribution network to make it easier for patients to obtain the drug legally. Several states already have a distribution scheme, like Colorado. By contrast, House Bill 843 gives patients who obtain a low THC strain a legal defense if they're caught with the strain of medical marijuana, but it does not sanction a distribution system. The Senate prefers the regulatory model, Bradley explains, but he acknowledged that both the House and the Senate proposals are likely to be revised before session ends. The committee rejected an emotional appeal from patients who urged them to legalize the drug for a broader range of maladies such as cancer. I'm a father, a husband, I'm a taxpayer, but I'm not a criminal, said Ryan Roman, 30, who admitted to legally obtaining a liquid form of marijuana to fight his brain and spinal cancer, which he's had for 9 years. After being diagnosed with a resurgence of cancer last summer, Roman said he obtained a liquid form of marijuana through underground channels and that he ingests twice daily in a capsule form, and his tumor started shrinking. Roman told the committee that the bill was a good start, but because it limits the level of THC, which he believes reduces cancer cells, it's unlikely to legalize the strain that can help him. The tumor is getting smaller, and I'm not doing any kind of radiation or chemotherapy, he told the committee. This is my last option. You're not a criminal, Bradley told Roman. He said after meeting that he's not prepared to expand the bill to broaden it to help Roman and other patients, but he also noted that Florida's Sheriff Association is supporting the bill. Any law enforcement officer who would take action against him is out of his mind. You know, then why set it up this way? If you believe that patients should be helped by this plant medicine, then don't constrict its use like that. But as we're about to see in the video next, it's really easy and compelling to watch these videos and see what happens. So let's watch the not the Carly's Law one, but the other one first, because there's so many that we have choices. I mean, this is here we go. Yep. I think we have to watch a commercial first on this one. I'll just warn you. And they talk funny in Wisconsin, so excuse their accents. If you can't understand them, just write in the chat room and I'll tell you what they say. Midwestern is tough to understand.
Greater Midwest Trading Company in Milton. Trustworthy buyers and sellers of gold and silver bullion. We can appraise your collection or help you find that coin on your wish list. Greater Midwest Trading Company, Milton, Wisconsin.
Can you turn it up in here?
But first, new at 10, a family in Juneau is battling to get special medicine legalized. But there's something that's been standing in their way. NBC 15's Max Hess tells us why.
It's a form of medicine that stems from a plant that is illegal in many states, marijuana. Today I spoke with parents of a little girl who say it's medicine they need.
When you look at 4-year-old Michaela Keene, you'd think she's a normal, happy little girl. But there's something she hides well.
Michaela was born at 26 weeks. She suffered a grade 4 brain bleed at birth.
And that took a toll on little Michaela.
She had her first seizure at 14 months old. She was diagnosed with epilepsy at age 2.
When she was first diagnosed, her dad, Alex, quit his job so that he could be at home to take care of her. And that meant income cut in half, but bills multiply.
We have we budget for medical bills. It's the way it is. 2 at lunch, 3 more at supper. Oh, and actually 1 more at bedtime.
But there's something that could help, and Stacy is fighting for it. It's called CBD oil, short for cannabidiol.
It's an extract from the cannabis plant. It's treating seizures in children.
But given what it stems from, there's a roadblock for the Keene family.
So right now in Wisconsin, we have no options. Unless we pick up and move our family to Colorado, CBD oil is illegal.
It's only legal in a select few states, but there it's had a tremendous effect on seizure patients, cutting down on bills, medication, and most importantly, cutting down on seizures. Lawmakers in Wisconsin are looking at making changes. Assembly Bill 726 was passed a few days ago. It would allow CBD in Wisconsin. Now, Stacy and many other parents are hoping it makes it to the floor for a vote. Senator Bob Wirch is a co-sponsor of the Assembly bill.
I was approached by the parents, and I think it's a good idea. This gives people with seizures an alternative to use to alleviate the effects of their problem, and it has no real side effects.
Stacy is hoping for a change, For her, for other families, and most importantly, for Michaela.
Stacy told me that Michaela's twin sister, who you also saw in that story, has none of the problems Michaela has, and that all she wants is for Michaela to have an easier way to stay healthy.
I mean, how are you not moved by that? How are you not moved by all of that evidence and by seeing families struggle to help their kids? And I mean, it's amazing. And in states like Alabama, where you would think that we would never see progress, I mean, they've already passed what's called Carly's Law, and we're going to watch that video right now. Who's snoring?
Tonight, we thank you for joining us. We're streaming the newscast at alabamas13.com. Well, a bill to legalize a form of medical marijuana is now headed to the governor's desk for his signature. The key facts today: the bill known as Carly's Law passed unanimously in both the House and the Senate. The law will allow UAB to prescribe a form of medical marijuana known as CBD oil used to treat patients with epilepsy. The law is named after 3-year-old Carly Chandler of Birmingham, who suffers from a rare genetic disorder that causes her to have severe seizures. Sarah Killian spoke to one of the lawmakers behind this historic legislation. She's in the studio tonight. Sarah.
Mike, to say this is historic legislation would really be an understatement. In a time where so many issues are divided by party lines, Carly's Law united Democrats and Republicans. After a long night divided on legislation, there was one bill that united the State House of Representatives.
Then I get called to the podium at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm bringing to you Senate Bill 174. This is Carly's Law. There I turned, and everybody was standing, and they said, they were chanting, vote, vote, vote.
After passing in the House, Carly's Law went on to pass in the state Senate, both times without a single no vote. The bill is named after 3-year-old Carly Chandler of Birmingham. Carly and her family were recognized in the State House of Representatives this afternoon. Carly's Law would legalize a substance derived from a marijuana plant known as cannabidiol or CBD oil. Under Alabama's legislation, this oil would only be available through UAB's Department of Neurology. The bill calls for the state legislature to give $1 million from the state's Education Trust Fund to UAB for research on this CBD oil. State Representative Alan Farley of Jefferson County sponsored Carly's Law in the House. He says he feels that this legislation is just the beginning.
All this is doing is priming the pump. This is getting this wheels turning, and there'll be other sources, I'm sure, that will be able to help fund this program.
Carly's Law will now move to the governor's desk for his signature. In the House of Representatives, Carly's Law was amended to allow doctors at Children's Hospital to use CBD oil if they work with UAB's Department of Neurology. Mike?
All right, Sarah, thank you. To find more information on the oil that will be...
So again, super compelling, phenomenal, the progress that's being made. But you got to scratch your head a little bit about why CBD oil extract only. And I feel like I remember when several months ago, 6 or 8 months ago, when parents were testifying in Utah, and they kept referring to this as CBD as though it wasn't part of the cannabis plant, although it wasn't an extract of medicinal marijuana or any marijuana. And I feel like that's an easier pill to swallow for people, because if you don't use the words, then you're not doing the damage. And I personally don't want to do some sort of trick or, I don't want to fake people out, bait and switch them. I mean, it is what it is. And if you can see and prove and show what amazing results these kids with severe seizure disorders are having, isn't that positive for the whole plant? And if your concern is we don't want them to be reduce that effect and increase the effect of their seizure reduction. But it shouldn't be one thing or the other. And there have been lots of reactions to the idea of the CBD only legislation, and we're going to talk a little bit about that and about why that is after we take just a little quickie break, right? Just a quick break.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
High up in the Rockies is beautiful Frisco, Colorado. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies is a medical marijuana center with compassion for Colorado's medical patients. Looking for great meds grown organically in soil? You've come to the right place. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies is just off I-70 at exit 203. Check them out at the web at www.mmrockies.com. Their ever-changing strain and clone selection is updated on the website daily. When making a trip to the mountains, no matter the season, stop by Medical Marijuana of the Rockies. Make sure you say you heard about them on iCannabis Radio. You can call 970-668-MEDS to get more information. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, your mountain source for meds.
Hi, this is Gavin Edson, and you're listening to my mom, Georgia Edson, on iCannabisradio.com.
Aw, you pulled that out of the archives, huh? He was little. He was very little. That's very cute. So welcome back. We were talking a little bit about does there need to be a debate? Does it have to be CBD or THC? Is there a way that patients can get their medicine in general? I mean, I'm a little disheartened by the legislature in Florida that says that there's a cancer patient who's got a brain tumor who wants to be able to use cannabis, but because he's not a kid with epilepsy, he can't. I mean, I don't want to take it away from anybody. I want to ensure that everyone who can benefit or wants to try to benefit has that option. Article from alternate.org. Marijuana medicines near miraculous healing powers require the whole plant, not just one oil extract. CBD-only laws are a pretext to extend marijuana prohibition under the guise of protecting the children. Ever since marijuana was banned by the federal government in the 1930s, proponents of prohibition have insisted that cannabis must remain illegal to protect America's children. Protecting the children continues to be the calculated cornerstone of the anti-marijuana propaganda, the cynical centerpiece of the war on drugs. How ironic, then, that today thousands of families in the United States are desperately seeking cannabis remedies to protect their children from deadly diseases. The erstwhile assassin of the youth has become the savior for kids with catastrophic seizure disorders and other life-threatening conditions. Drawn by near miraculous healing power of oil extracted from the marijuana plant, families have been flocking to Colorado and other cannabis-friendly states where they hope to find a remedy that helps their children, some of whom suffer 100 seizures a day. Parents are reporting a dramatic reduction in seizures, often 50 to 90%, when their children are given oral extracts rich in cannabidiol, a non-psychoactive cannabis component. These extracts are low in THC, the compound that causes the high that marijuana is famous for. For every family that is uprooted and moved to Colorado, many more have chosen to stay home and lobby local officials in an effort to change state law so they might have access to the essential medicine. Their poignant pleas are having an impact. Politicians from both parties have been rushing to approve bills that would legalize marijuana for therapeutic purposes in such unlikely places as Kentucky, Georgia, Tennessee, Nebraska, South Carolina, Oklahoma, and Utah, and Alabama. However, there's a catch. The bills under consideration will only allow the use of CBD-rich oil extracts with hardly any THC. Apparently, marijuana is still the evil weed to many lawmakers, but somehow certain parts of the plant are good, and now they're claiming the good parts aren't actually marijuana. According to the political pretzel logic, marijuana gets you high, but CBD-rich marijuana doesn't get you high. Therefore, CBD-rich marijuana is not marijuana. See the Get that? Yeah. According to, this is not medical marijuana. It's just an oil derived from the plant, according to Wisconsin's GOP State Representative John Spiros, a former police officer who voted to approve CBD-only legislation. Gage Froner, a Utah state legislator, weighed in with similar rhetoric, gimmickry about CBD. It's not a drug. It's not medical marijuana. Last week, Alabama became the first state to approve a CBD-only legislation. During the notorious vote that outlawed cannabis in America in 1937, a befuddled U.S. congressman asked House Majority Leader Sam Rayburn from Texas, "What is this bill about?" Rayburn replied, "It has something to do with a drug called marijuana. I think it's a narcotic of some kind." Still clueless, more than 7 decades later, influential state lawmakers are claiming that the CBD-only legislature they favor has something to do with a thing called not marijuana. Promoted by impassioned parents, do-gooders, and entrepreneurs with a financial interest in seeing such laws pass, CBD-only legislation has triggered a serious controversy within the medical marijuana community. Some see it as a key first step, a viable tactic for cracking open the prohibitionist door in states governed by retro poles and religious zealots. Others are less sanguine about the prospect of CBD-only laws. CBD-only legislature is like being half pregnant. It doesn't make sense, said Garen Angel, founder of Magical Butter, a homemaker's device for extracting cannabis oil. Angel, who's not enamored of efforts to legalize the low THC concentrates, has been provided financial assistance to poor families so they could join the CBD Children's Crusade to Colorado. We need many kinds of cannabis, not just the CBD-dominant strains, Arizona Dr. Suzanne Sisley, who recently testified before state lawmakers in Kentucky and Minnesota about medical marijuana's potential for helping veterans struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder. Nearly 4 years earlier, Sisley had gotten FDA approval to investigate whether medical marijuana, including a CBD-rich strain, could be an effective treatment for PTSD. But her research was blocked by the National Institute of Drug Abuse, which would not allow access to cannabis for therapeutic studies. Last week, NIDA approved Sisley's study, but approval from the DEA is still required. Apparently, no physicians in Minnesota or Kentucky are willing to speak on the record in favor of medical cannabis. So Dr. Sisley flew from Arizona at the behest of MPP, the Marijuana Policy Project, which has lobbied for the legalization of medical marijuana in several states. 2 competing bills are being considered by Minnesota lawmakers, a broader, more inclusive initiative supported by MPP and a CBD-only measure that would restrict patient access to non-smokable cannabis oil extracts with negligible amounts of THC. Both bills it passed the first House in committee, but no less than 9 other committees have to sign off on the medical marijuana legislation before it reaches the Minnesota House floor for a full vote. I mean, I guess I'm just confused. To me, it feels like we're going backward. I'm all for getting money to research and help develop these CBD-rich strains because, we certainly know in Colorado that there just aren't a lot of them. And in fact, they have been bred just the opposite. And now they're finding that people want this. I have people come in the store all the time, asking just because they've heard about CBD. They don't even know necessarily that they have something that they think it will help, but they've heard about it so much that they want to try it. It's kind of like going to the health food store and saying, gosh, I've always eaten wheat germ, but I've heard a lot about flaxseed. And so I think I want to try it and see if it helps me poop better. Let people try it. But now it feels like people are, again, it's that bait and switch. This isn't really marijuana. It's not marijuana. It's CBD. CBD is a component of marijuana. I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but it's marijuana. That's what it is. Right. Sisley could not tell which way the wind was blowing, as hitherto anti-marijuana politicians lined up to jump on board the CBD-only bandwagon. She said, I'm running into this blockade everywhere I go. CBD oil bills are popping up in nearly every state that's examining medical marijuana legislation, and making it much more difficult to pass comprehensive legislation that can address a wide range of conditions. I tried to explain to legislators that a CBD-only law would benefit a narrow segment of the patient population. The vast majority of patients need access to a broader spectrum of whole plant marijuana remedies. Even pediatric patients need more options. The case of Jaden David, a child stricken with Dravet syndrome. In 2011, 5-year-old Jaden, who had been on 22 pills per day. This is the kid that if you saw, what was the special, the Harborside special, Weeds. It was like 6 episodes. This kid and his dad made you cry. And if you did not cry, you are a cold-hearted person because it was unbelievable. So Jaden had been on 22 pills per day, was given a CBD-infused tincture, which his father obtained from Harborside Health Clinic, a medical marijuana dispensary in Oakland. The CBD remedy worked wonders. For the next several months, the boy with intractable epilepsy was largely seizure-free. The story doesn't end here. In due course, it became evident to Jason David, Jaden's devoted father, that sometimes his son responded better when more THC was added to the cannabis solution. If Jaden lived in a state with a CBD-only law rather than cutting-edge California, he'd be out of luck, unable to legally access the medicine that keeps him alive. Many pediatric epilepsy patients would not be well served by CBD-only legislation, nor would cancer patients, chronic pain sufferers, and people with Alzheimer's and autoimmune disorders. And people know that you have to change things up. Very often, one strain will work for a while, and then your body develops a tolerance. Different batches can be grown differently, and you have to have options. Scientific research has established that CBD and THC interact synergistically with each other's therapeutic effects, and marijuana contains several hundred other compounds, including flavonoids, terpenes, and dozens of minor cannabinoids in addition to CBD and THC. Each of these compounds has particular healing attributes, but when combined, they create what scientists refer to as an entourage effect, so that the therapeutic impact of the whole plant exceeds the sum of its parts. Therein lies the basic fallacy of the CBD-only position. And it shouldn't be surprising. I mean, it just shouldn't be surprising. When we launched Project CBD 4 years ago, I thought that this serendipitous rediscovery of CBD-rich cannabis would be the nail in the coffin of marijuana prohibition. I didn't anticipate that CBD-only laws would serve as a pretext to extend marijuana prohibition under the guise, once again, of protecting the children. Again, I think it's just a really simple, easy way to convince lawmakers. I mean, these videos are compelling, and we get, at iCannabis Radio get sent videos and hear stories all the time of these, phenomenal situations where kids have tried these CBD-rich strains and have ended up doing great. We also know that, when they move here and they try something like a Charlotte's Web, they then need, other components to it. I mean, we think about the kids that we know who have disorders other than seizure disorders that are using cannabis. And again, they need a wide range of therapeutic cannabis. And do research. Let's have legislature to do a ton of research. Your dog is so rude. He snores like an old man. Yeah, he does. He's super cute. Let's do a ton of research and figure out, if there's ways to combine this best. But my favorite was when they called it the non-euphoric strains. I know euphoria is an awful thing for someone to experience, isn't it? That unbelievable sense of happiness and all that, that's just awful. How is it that my dog thinks that it's okay to jump on you? Talk about rude. Anyway, I don't want to fight the THC versus CBD. I don't think that it has to be. I don't want to live in an or world. It's an and world. I mean, that's what we get to do. We get to do and, right? Because we're adults and we get to make decisions based on things that make sense. And the idea, legislators, that you're legalizing something that's not marijuana, I mean, come on, do a little research. What you're doing is a great thing, but don't stop there. But we are going to stop and take one last break. We'll be right back.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. Runongrass.com.
Green Faith Ministry is for spiritual guidance, MMJ information, and networking combined with compassionate care on the way to enlightenment with all Green Faith sacraments. Green Faith provides charity assistance, including medical and food throughout the year. Contact them at greenfaithministry.com.
Well, welcome back. I just remembered I just had this sudden glint of brilliance that I'm out of dog food. And if I go home without bags of dog food, I might as well not go home. I think I'll go there on my way home. Yeah. PetSmart's open till 9. I'll make it. So yeah, I don't want to fight the CBD THC battle. I don't think we need to, but I do feel bad. I mean, do you really think that these legislators think that they're not legalizing medical marijuana? I mean, do they really believe that? Or I mean, they must, because they're saying it. I can't imagine that you would have so little information about this. And we know a lot of these parents who are educating legislators, and they're brilliant, and they know exactly what's going on. They know exactly what their kids need, and they're not trying to fool anybody. They're not trying to fool anybody. But I feel like the legislators are. I feel like the legislators want to, let's be very careful about what words we use, and let's not use the marijuana word, because we don't want people to think that we believe in legalizing marijuana. Well, you should. So back to Colorado. So there was a brouhaha in Colorado this week. Did you guys know that? Full on brouhaha. So the governor, John Hickenlooper, used to own bars and brew beer for a living. We all know this. He's a brilliant guy. He got a degree from the Colorado School of Mines, got his master's from the Colorado School of Mines. I mean, he's a smart guy. And beer was his thing. And beer has been a thing in Colorado forever. I mean, we're all about microbrews and those kinds of things. So this week, a private donor gave money to have a beer tap system installed at the governor's mansion. Marijuana people were pissed. This is one of those either or things that I don't really like. So I personally don't care if there are beer taps at the governor's mansion or not. But Chicken Looper. But I think that it does feel hypocritical that it's okay to drink but not smoke. And can you imagine what would have happened if a private donor would have donated some hookahs to have installed at the governor's mansion? Just even to smoke tobacco. Let's not even say that they're smoking marijuana. People would have freaked out. But some of the marijuana activists did get really upset that it's okay for beer taps to be in the governor's mansion, and felt that maybe it was more like a fraternity house than the governor's mansion. Again, I don't need an either or. We can have I would have liked to have used that opportunity to point out to the governor that you get to enjoy your vice and others get to enjoy theirs. And you don't have to like their vice any more than they have to like yours. However, you have to respect the fact that people get the opportunity to do that and not block it at every opportunity. Which, as we know, he has decided that's the approach that he's going to take. That he hates the marijuana. I wonder if he hates the CBD. Chris, let's ask him. Call up the governor. Don't you have a cell phone? You have a cell phone number right there, right? We should call him up and see, do you hate the CBD too? So I wonder if he even knows what that means. It's for the babies. So brouhaha, I don't need it. Don't think it's a big deal. Again, take the opportunity to be able to tell the governor, we're fine with you choosing to do what you choose to do. Don't let it interfere with my ability to live my life, but I want the same respect. So if you get the opportunity to email the governor or call him, please tell him that message. So one other quick thing that I wanted to tell you about this evening is that the Colorado Court of Appeals has ruled that residents convicted of marijuana possession before recreational marijuana was legalized may be eligible to have those decisions overturned. Because of the January 1st, 2014, that date that allowed adults from Colorado to illegally buy up to an ounce of marijuana, and Amendment 64's passage, the Court of Appeals is rethinking some things. On March 13th, 3 judges of the state's appeals panel said that part of an earlier decision in a case against a Colorado woman sentenced in 2011 for marijuana possession should be vacated. In making their decision, the appellate court wrote that there could be post-conviction relief if, quote, there had been significant change in the law, end quote. Amendment 64, by decriminalizing the personal use or possession of 1 ounce or less of marijuana, meets the statutory requirements for a significant change in the law and eliminates and that thus mitigates the penalties for persons convicted of engaging in such conduct, the judges open. The spokesperson for the Colorado Attorney General, John Suthers, has since told that the office will likely appeal the court's latest ruling, but if that stands, then it will set the stage for a substantial number of residents to have their convictions reversed. So there's a couple of cases that are out there that this isn't necessarily going to help. However, it's definitely a huge step in the right direction. Defendants contend that Amendment 64 should be applied retroactively on convictions of possession of marijuana, concentrate, and possessions of less than 1 ounce of marijuana be vacated. We agree, the court wrote. So, yay, Colorado. There was a joke piece that was put out, a month or two ago that said that Hickenlooper was just letting everyone out of jail for their possession charge. And of course that wasn't true, A, because he wouldn't do that because he doesn't like the pot, and B, that's not how it works. So, but yeah, I mean, Colorado is definitely making some huge steps in the right direction. A, we don't have a CBD only rule. B, you can walk in, any person 21 and over with a valid government issued ID can walk into a store and purchase marijuana. C, the sky has not fallen. This is not some video game where we are a war zone out there because adults can possess and use marijuana as they see fit. Crazy things are not happening. And you know what? I don't think anybody really thought that crazy things were happening. I think that the people that are really afraid of what's going to happen to their children, their children are going to hear the truth. And yes, you are going to be responsible as a parent of ensuring that your kids know the facts about marijuana and know what your stance is on it, just like you hopefully do about drinking and using other drugs and, talking to strangers and any of those kinds of things that you do as a parent. Because you know what? It's true. It's going to be easier for kids to get marijuana. I mean, I don't know how you can say that it's not. What's nice is that that people can go to a regulated store and that store isn't letting your kid in, and that store is not selling to your kid, you've got to worry about the 12th grader who's selling to your 7th grader. That's what you need to worry about. But those conversations should be easier now, because you're telling them the truth now. They're not going to go crazy like Reefer Madness would have you believe. They are going to make a good decision because you have provided them the tools, the skills, and the knowledge to make decisions that are thoughtful and smart and reasonable. And you know what? You have this law that backs you up, this law that says, don't do this till you're 21. Great law. Just because it used to be don't do this at all, that was a dumb law. But now, so when they tried it when they were 14, 15, or 16 and nothing bad happened to them, they had no respect for that law. But now that the law says, hey, we want you to wait till you're 21, you need to do that, and here are the reasons why. Okay, kids still may not wait, but at least you are able to provide, again, some good framework. And that's what good parents do. So yay for us our government is making it easier for us to be good parents because we passed this wonderful law. I'm all for that. Well, let me tell you a little bit more about what's going on this week on iCannabis Radio. The Adam Dunn Show is on from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday, where it's not supposed to snow, right? It's not supposed to snow on Wednesday. I don't think so either. Hemp Connoisseur Magazine is on from 4 to 5 p.m. on Thursday. And, of course, Jeremy will be back with me next Monday. I'm really excited. I miss him. I haven't seen him in a week. I want to thank our sponsors, Edson Maitland and Matts, Mile High Wellness, Noto Urban Garden Supply, Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, Run on Grass, and, of course, Couple Collimore and Company. I want to thank you guys all for being here in the studio today. It's been really fun. I love having people around. You guys can come down anytime. I'm Georgia, and I will see you guys next week.